Are you truly doing discovery meetings or merely intake? That's what we'll be getting after in my conversation today with Chris Holman, Horse's Mouth executive coach and the author of the soon to be released book on advisor discovery best practices, Discovery Shift: Why Talking Less and Listening More Wins Business. Chris, thank you for being here with me today. So,
Welcome.
so you've written this your book, Discovery Shift, and which is eminently going to be released. But recently, you've hinted that you might be questioning one of the original assumptions behind the book. Is that true?
It is true, and kind of funny. We haven't even released the book yet. I'm questioning assumptions before it's out. But yes and no to answer, Doug, to answer your question. Here's what I mean. I wrote Discovery Shift after reviewing more than 100 recorded meetings between advisors and prospects. Doug, you and I have talked about the findings before. Advisors talking about 70% of the time, advisors asking closed-ended questions 90% of the time. That was concerning enough. But over the past week or so, I've re-listened to many of the recordings that I used to write the book. And something hit me in the head. Almost none of the meetings should have been called discovery calls in the first place. They were intake calls, disguised as discovery. And that means that the core premise of the book title, Discovery Shift, that advisors needed to shift their discovery habits might not go far enough. Many advisors weren't doing discovery at all. And to call these initial calls discovery calls is misleading. And that's the assumption I'm questioning.
Okay, so let's be a good college student writing our research paper here. Let's define our terms. So, what's the difference then between an intake meeting and a discovery meeting?
Sure, of course. Let's define that. Intake is the gathering of information. So a financial plan can be built. Data, documents, balances, retirement dates, fact-finding stuff. Discovery is different. Discovery is when a client feels safe enough to tell the truth about their money. Not the polite version either, the real version. If that moment never happens, then no matter what you call it, discovery didn't take place.
In your experience, do many advisors, think that they're doing discovery while really doing intake? And, why is this so?
Yes, they do. Um, Here's the thing. The profession has used the wrong label for decades. Advisors were trained to collect data, analyze it, deliver solutions, and no one taught them how to explore the meaning underneath. So they assume that asking fact-based questions, fact-finding type questions, they assume that's discovery. It's not. It's intake with better manners.
So, why do you think many advisors default to intake off, as a default?
Here's why I think. Intake is baked into the planning process. Every financial plan begins with data gathering. So advisors assume the data gathering conversation is the real work. It's not. It also lets advisors feel competent. Feel competent. Asking technical questions is a reliable way to demonstrate expertise and reduce the advisor's own anxiety about proving their value.
The thing is that, prospects though, they're running a test of sorts of their own, right? I mean, they're kind of always asking, can this advisor actually help me with my real issue, right?
Exactly. Every prospect is silently evaluating two forms of confidence. Competence. One of the questions they have in their brain is, does this advisor have the expertise to help me solve my problem? But they're really looking at two types of competence, they being the prospects. Number one is technical competence. Do you understand? Does the advisor understand taxes, risk, retirement, planning mechanics, that sort of thing? And there's also the relational competence. Does the advisor understand how money works in my life, my fears, my history, my relationships, my identity? Intake showcases the first. Discovery reveals the second. Prospects need both before they trust anyone with their financial truth. Technical competence earns attention. Relational competence earns commitment.
Okay, well, let me play devil's advocate a little bit here. If intake leads to a completed financial plan, I might think some advisors would think, isn't that enough?
Well, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with intake if the only goal is to complete a plan. Intake fills the software, it gets the projection done. The problem is, financial plans by themselves don't change lives. Financial choices do.
Okay, so to follow that thread then, if people aren't making financial decisions based on just the numbers, what do they make these decisions on?
Doug, people make financial choices based on emotional logic, identity, fear, shame, hope, regret, family history, and relationships that matter. Ask someone about retirement, and you're not asking them about withdrawal rates. You're asking, who do you want to be? Who do you want to become when you stop working?
Okay, so what does intake miss then that discovery would capture?
It misses the truth behind the numbers. Clients give the advisor the socially acceptable version of their financial story. We just want to feel secure. We're conservative investors. We know we should probably spend less, but none of that is the real story.
Okay, so do you have any examples for us of, solving these symptoms instead of the causes?
Sure. What looks like a financial problem on the surface is often something a lot deeper. Overspending may be an unresolved money identity. Low risk tolerance may be generational financial trauma. Couple conflict about budgeting often isn't about budgeting at all. It's a money identity disagreement. Security versus freedom, saving versus spending, deeper unspoken priorities that aren't revealed on the surface.
So what happens then when a plan and advisor puts together doesn't truly connect with the client's, emotional logic?
Well, I'm sure advisors have all seen this. Clients, prospects stall, they delay, they revise and revisit, or they abandon the plan entirely. And the advisor thinks, oh, they just need more education. No, they needed more understanding in the first place.
Okay, and I know you have a blunt way of distinguishing intake from discovery. Do you want to share it?
I do. Intake creates plans that clients admire. Discovery creates plans that clients follow.
Okay, and you said that people don't act on information, they act on internal narrative. You want to go under the hood there and explain what you mean?
Behavioral finance shows that people make choices through the stories they tell themselves. And if that story remains unspoken, if it's never uncovered in the discovery meeting, the financial plan competes with it and loses.
All right, and I know that, what you're talking about has real ramifications for an advisor's business. So, what is the business case for doing real discovery instead of the intake?
So let's think about it. If intake is enough, software will replace advisors. The only defensible advantage left in this profession, in that case, is human understanding.
Okay, and then a corollary is, if intake is so efficient, why do so many clients still fail to follow their plans that the advisor puts together?
Good question. So, because efficiency is not the same as alignment, a fast plan can still be the wrong plan for the human inside of it.
So is the industry then lying to itself when it calls these meetings discovery?
Well, lying is, I wouldn't call it lying. Lying, I think, is an overstatement. I'd call it mislabeling, and mislabeling that's preventing improvement. If you believe you're already pretty good at something, you don't get better at it.
Chris, this kind of begs the question, do you think that um, advisors might be afraid of delving into their clients' emotions?
Doug, I can only base my opinion on what we've seen in our recordings and what I've seen over my many conversations as a coach with clients. But many are avoiding and afraid of emotions that come up in discovery calls, not intentionally, but they advisors were trained to create value by talking in many cases. Silence and curiosity, for example, feel really risky. And the irony is that that's where the truth lies.
And so do you think it's possible that financial plans fail because the conversation failed?
Absolutely. A plan built on partial truth has a very short shelf life. When the conversation fails, the plan is already broken.
And if a client never tells the truth about money, what exactly is the advisor advising?
A good question. At best, they're a balance sheet. At worst, a persona. You're advising the mask, not the real person.
So if you were to rewrite the profession, say, um, what what would your definition of discovery be?
Well, uh, Doug, in the first place, thank you for granting me the right to rewrite the profession.
It is granted.
Um, but I'll say it this way. Discovery is when a client feels safe enough to tell the truth about money.
Okay. And so what needs to change when it comes to advisor training then?
Okay. So we as coaches and trainers, we need to train emotional competence, not just the planning competence. Advisors should practice listening with the same seriousness they practice golf.
All right. And then for any advisors listening who they want to change their approach, what's one shift that they could do in their very next meeting that could help move the ball? What would that one shift be, Chris?
I'll share this with you, with those of us listening, those of you listening, and this could happen in any conversation, not only a discovery conversation, it could be a conversation with a client. It could be a conversation with your wife or your partner or spouse. When an emotional doorway opens, stay there. Stay one more beat. Stay in that conversation. Don't try to fix anything. Don't try to educate. Just stay right there.
Okay, so let's move from the eminently immediate and practical to kind of look out to what's possible with the future of the industry. What would the profession look like, if the real discovery that, as you define it, became the standard?
Faster trust, faster implementation, more referrals, better plans, less advisor burnout, and clients who finally exhale.
Sounds good. Okay, so to close this out, Chris, what is the simplest way to kind of wrap up and say all that you've been talking about today?
Sure. Intake builds a plan. Discovery builds commitment. When advisors skip discovery, clients don't object. They just never take action.
Okay, great. And so Chris's book, Discovery Shift, is releasing very soon. While you can't order your copy quite yet, you can get onto a notification list. We'll let you know when it is available. Let me go ahead and put that up on the screen now. I have a little problem with the call to action. It's horsesmouth.com/discovery notify. And you'll also get a resource Chris has put together of some key insights from his book. So thank you, Chris, and thank you everyone for listening. Take care.